Tonight on Philly Sports Spotlight, they have built it and the teams have come. The NCAA tournament bracket is set as we preview the local entrants. And after a couple of substandard pitching performances, should the Phillies be concerned about Doc? Also, check out the new sports sweeping area high schools. Good evening, welcome to Philly Sports Spotlight. I'm your host, Phil Andrews, and we are about to embark on a month of madness. Yes, the NCAA tournament kicked off yesterday with a couple of playing games with two more on tap today, and then things start to get really interesting. Here are your number one seeds for this year's tournament. Louisville, of course, the overall number one seed. You have Kansas, number one in the South, Indiana reigning supreme in the East, and Gonzaga, who actually enters the tournament with the best overall record, more than 30 wins. They will be the number one seed out there in the West. Now, three of the Philadelphia City Six were also invited to this year's dance. Villanova and Temple were pretty much shoo-ins, but the LaSalle Explorers were at the mercy of the selection committee. Our Mike McCoy was there when the announcement came down.
A lot. This is my last chance, and make it to the NCAA tournament is one of the biggest things in college basketball. As a little kid, I always dreamed about playing in it. Counting down the last shots, hitting the last shots, and this is one of the dreams that come true. When I first transferred, he just said, just play defense and listen, and we'll get far. Everything else will fall into place. So, I just took for what he said, and I took his word, and we're here.
We all thought we was gonna go in the first bracket, but they said we was gonna go in, towards the west. So we were just waiting for it, and then when they announced our name, it was just like a dream come true for us. Cause for me, I've always wanted to play in the tournament, so it's just like a great feeling for me.
Yeah, the NCAA tournament is for the best teams in the country. There's about 40 at-large berths, and there's over 340 Division I schools. There's an awful lot of BCS teams out there and others that are extremely committed to this sport, that spend a lot of money on it, and for us to have our commitment at LaSalle rewarded and to be in this tournament's a big deal.
1992 was the last time the LaSalle men's basketball team made it to the NCAA tournament. This year they were taking on a Boise State opponent in the first round in Dayton, Ohio. The winner of this matchup can potentially play Kansas State in the next round of who can keep up the magic of March.
And just to reiterate what Mike just said, later tonight, LaSalle will indeed battle Boise State. They come in at 13 seeds. It's called a play-in game, and that'll take place in Dayton. The winner, of course, to advance, like Mike said, to the field of 64, where they will meet the 4th seed Kansas State Friday in Kansas City, Missouri. Now, LaSalle won't be the only Philly team dancing in KC on Friday night, because so too will the Villanova Wildcats. And check out this matchup. How about this? Nova, a 9 seed versus the South Region's 8 seed North Carolina. This, my friend, should be a classic matchup. Both teams started slow to start the season, but played better in the second half. And, of course, Villanova had those 3 huge wins over those 3 top 5 ranked teams. And Fran Dunphy's Temple Owls also on their way to the dance. They'll be doing some dancing. Of course, we knew they were headed on their way. Fran Dunphy is a team that plays very, very good defense, and they, too, will be a formidable opponent in this tournament. Who are they going to take on? There it is right there. They, like Nova, are a 9th seed, 23-9, taking on an 8th seed NC State, another North Carolina team in the tournament, taking on one of our local teams. That game set for Friday in Dayton, Ohio. Let the madness begin, if you will. So the Temple Owls, well, it's kind of interesting because, like Villanova, it's all up in the air because they are actually wrapping up their Atlantic 10 stay, if you will. The Atlantic 10 for Temple anyway will be no more as they move to what they think is going to be the Big East. But what we do know is the Catholic 7 from the Big East have actually retained the right to the Big East name, so who knows what's going to happen. With that said, our good friends at Visual 2020 Media have once again gone above the rim and have a great piece depicting Temple's final stand in the Atlantic 10.
Saying goodbye is not always easy. Whether it's a longtime friend moving away or saying farewell to loved ones as you move into the next chapter in life. Since 1982, Temple basketball has been a member of the Atlantic 10 Conference. notching 9 A-10 championships in the process. But this season will be the final one for the Owls in the A-10 as the Cherry and White move to the Big East in the fall of 2013. For this team and this group of seniors, it's their last stand. Before the start of the season, the Owls look for a creative way to commemorate their final run through the conference. Enter Temple adjunct illustration professor Mario Zucca.
Yeah, it was just, it's rewarding to be able to kind of do something for your alma mater, you know. Somebody in the office had loved the Avengers movie that came out last summer, so they were inspired by that. That was the initial theme. I was initially thinking like more of a late 80s, early 90s inspired, kind of more graphic approach to it. I think they were thinking maybe a little flashier. So I think we kind of met in the middle there, and it worked out. So I had a good idea of initially what I wanted to do. Submitted, I think, probably maybe two to three options to him in just pencil sketch form. And we settled on the composition. From that point, I kind of referenced the pencil and the photographs simultaneously.
With the idea in place and a sketch rendered, it was time to make these stenciled cartoon shapes come to life with the help of some computer magic.
The newer comic books especially really have a lot of like intricate lighting, and there's like, you know, really bright green light here and a red light here, and that's, you know, it's all digital, it's flashier, and there's gradients and stuff. And so this piece in particular, there was probably a lot more time spent on the digital side of things. Yeah, well, this is the original scan. It's, you know, you could see there's still pencil marks on it and stuff. So basically, after I clean it up, I wind up with this as my line work layer. Then I kind of just work almost from the back up. So I'll lay in a background color, which again, that looks very, very dark, but more warmer colors for the smoke. The court, the floor of the court is its own layer. Again, I really kept this in a lot of layers because I wanted to be able to go in and fine-tune colors. Then the figures are all basically just one layer, but I tried to keep it all fairly simple, where the ambient light that's kind of hitting the edge of the figures, you can see I just turned that on. It really pops things out. And then there's always that, you think of comic books, they always have that sort of comic stamp in the top left corner. And I like it. I mean, I think it adds that additional little comic book touch to it. And then with all the layers all turned on, that was the finished product in the end. It was a lot of fun. And like I said, I don't do much comic book inspired stuff, so it was a little bit of a departure for me, but it was tons of fun to work on.
And like I said, another great job by the folks at the Visual 2020 Media. You know, the other wonderful thing about this year's tournament anyway is that first couple of rounds are also going to be right here in the city of Philadelphia. Wells Fargo is the place to be for Friday, March 22nd. Here are your teams. It's kind of weird, though. Midwest region here in Philly. Anyway, number 7 Creighton taking on the number 10 Cincinnati Bearcats. And how about Duke, a second seed taking on Albany? Hey, you think Albany can upset Duke? No, me neither. Okay, and then, of course, the other matchups here in Philadelphia. The South region, number 2 Georgetown, the Hoyas taking on Florida Gulf Coast. And then number 7, but you got a long way to come, probably one of the furthest in this bracket, San Diego State, the 7th seed, taking on the 10th seed Oklahoma Sooners. And as we head to break time for this week's trivia question, and as you would expect, this one with ties to the NCAA tournament. Now, since the tournament expanded to 64 teams in 1985, there's only been one time where all 4 number 1 seeds have made it to the Final Four. But what year was it? I'll have that answer for you coming up later on in the show. Also coming up, Doc Halliday speaks, and you know when Doc speaks, we listen.